Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be how to overcome paralyzing fear. Well, I've got an email here from a viewer who's really struggling with a bunch of problems he's got in his life. He says he's got BPD, borderline personality disorder, panic attacks, and he suffered from depression. And he also says he's got PTSD. He doesn't say if he was in the military or not, but if he was, and the guy I'm reading his email here, definitely thank you for your service if you actually served in the military. And for those of you watching who has served in the military, fucking hey, thank you for your service. So I got a quote that I wrote on this particular topic, and then we're going to jump right into it and go through his email. And the quote says, when it comes to overcoming our fears in life, we have two choices. Number one, we can either let our fears paralyze us into making excuses and doing nothing, or number two, we can accept the reality that we are living in bodies that are one day going to die, and therefore our time is limited. If we don't take the action that we know we need to take right now in this present moment, there will come a time when we are on our deathbed in a future moment where we realize that we are out of time and that we have lived our whole lives playing small, settling, being driven by our irrational fears, and never having truly lived. So the real question is, do you want to die knowing that you did everything you could to make your dreams and dream life a reality? Or would you rather die knowing that you bitched out and never tried to find out what you were truly capable of by taking action towards what you wanted in spite of your fears? One day, one of those two realities is going to be yours. Doesn't it make sense to play full out and give life your best shot? Choose wisely. That's something to think about. I got when I was reading this guy's email, something that popped into my mind was something, because I was in a place where this guy was at one time where I was incredibly fearful and paranoid. And I think I was probably 21 or 22, and I really wanted to meet a great girl, but I was always kind of timid and shy. And going up to a random stranger, a random woman, and just fucking asking her out was something that I just had never really done. It was usually somebody that I knew, or we had gone to school together, or they were like a friend of a friend. It was always something that was kind of easy like that. I'd never really seen a girl and just gone up to her and just been like, oh my God, you're fucking amazing. You take my breath away. And I remember I went in and I had lunch. This was like a TGI Fridays. I went to lunch, and this is probably 23, 24 years ago that this happened at this point. Like I said, I think I was around 20, 21. And I was really into self-help. I was going through some of Tony Robbins stuff at the time, and I was just working on overcoming my fears. And that was one of the fears I had, was being rejected personally. And this girl that worked as a hostess there was just really fucking beautiful. And I remember I walked out, I went back to my car, and I thought, that girl was pretty fucking hot. I need to ask her out. And I turned right around, and I walked right back in, and I said something along the lines of, you've got a really great smile. I'd love to take you out to dinner sometime, or I'd love to go out on a date with you, or something along those lines. What's your number? And she smiled, she turned all red, and she says, oh, I thank you, I appreciate that, but I have a boyfriend. And I was like, you got a really great fucking smile. And I was like, you have a great day. And I walked out of there. I didn't feel bad. I mean, there was people all around. I didn't give a shit. And it was a big deal for me. A public place like that, a public restaurant, or especially a well-known franchise like Fridays, I walked out of there, I felt like $1 million, because to me, I was like, yeah! I was like, I did it. I overcame that fear, and I proved to myself that I could do it. And she didn't fucking bite my head off. She didn't fucking slap me. She didn't go, I wouldn't go out with you if you were the fucking last man on earth. I wouldn't sleep with you if you paid me $1 million. Those kinds of things that us guys, we tend to think in our heads, what's she going to say if she doesn't like me? I didn't fucking care. To me, the only thing that mattered was that I overcame my fear, that I fucking went for something that had kind of terrified me. And inside, I was shaking and I was nervous. But I like this girl. It was a fucking rush, man. I was like, wow. It's like, yeah. I mean, I did it. I mean, I felt so good about myself. It's like, I didn't give a shit that she said no. I was so fucking, I was like I was high for 2 or 3 hours after that, and I didn't smoke anything. I mean, I just felt absolutely amazing because I had overcome something that was a big fear and a big obstacle for me. It was like, from that point forward, I was never really afraid of getting a phone number or talking to a girl or asking a girl out. It was, my problem really became where once I got the phone number, it was like, I would screw it up after that because, you know, obviously all these other things I talk about in my book, but that was just a big moment for me. That was a paradigm shift. Like I said, I was 20, 21 at the time. And I mean, I still remember it. I can picture it right now, walking back in there and seeing her smiling and all these. I didn't care about all these people being around me. It's like, man, I felt like a fucking $1,000,000. So let's get into it. This guy's email. He says, "Hey Corey, your YouTube videos seems to be some of the best that are out there. No BS, no magic formulas or magic texts, just good, solid bro-to-bro advice. I wish I could tell you I have some success using your advice, but I have multiple psychological issues that stem from being bullied severely almost every day in middle school, high school, and even into college. One thing I want to say about that, dude, is the past does not equal the future. Who fucking cares? Boo-hoo, you were bullied. I was bullied too. I was always little. And the way that I adapted when I was in school is I learned to become friends with the biggest, baddest, most toughest guys in school. And that way, if anybody ever fucked with me, they would get their asses handed to them. It was nice. I remember middle school, it was mostly a black middle school, and I made friends with the baddest, toughest black kids in school. You need help with your homework? Sure, no problem, man. You need, you want to look at my test? Sure. I'd move my arm out of the way. No problem, man. I wasn't an ass kisser, but it's like if they needed help, it's like they were my buddies. They were my friends, and when they would fucking bust on me, they called me little man because I was always like, I looked like I was 10 years old. I looked like I had a baby face. They liked me because they could fuck with me and make fun of me, and I didn't care. I would laugh along with them. Some of the shit they said was funny as hell anyways, And it's like, that's how I adapted to that environment because like back then, this was like I remember the early 80s that, man, there was a lot of whites and blacks, at least in the school that I went to, they did not fucking like each other. And, if you were a white kid, especially if you were a white kid and you were a little big, you didn't want to go in the bathrooms by yourself because there'd usually be 4 or 5 black dudes in there just waiting to fucking beat your ass. And it wasn't you. And if one of the white kids beat up a black kid, a day or two later, 4 or 5 of his friends would fucking jump and get some fucking retaliation and some revenge. And I learned back then and early on, it was way better to make friends with people and not get butthurt over, things that people say. Always be smiling, always be laughing with people. And I was fairly smart. I didn't really have to study that hard, when I was in school. And if, one of those guys needed help on a test, it's like, I'd move my arm out of the way. You want to look at my answers? I don't fucking care, dude. It's like they appreciated that, and it's like they looked out for me and I looked out for them. And we laughed our asses all the way through a shitty, crappy situation. But it's like, you got to do what you got to do to survive, man. He says, I just shut off my social life for many, many years, and as a result, my social skills are extremely limited as a result. I have PTSD, borderline personality disorder, panic, and borderline personality disorder, from what I know about it. I'm not a therapist or a psychologist or any of that stuff. And I've read upon it, and I've coached a lot of people that have that. I coach a lot of people that have psychologists and counselors and therapists. And the one thing that I do know about is like Brandon Marshall, the receiver in the NFL, came out with that he had borderline personality disorder. And people that have that disorder, it's like they have a problem communicating. They don't know how to express themselves and their emotions in a healthy way. And like you look at like Brandon Marshall, I remember one time I was at a football game, and he had a call didn't go his way or whatever. He dropped a pass, and he just fucking picked the ball up, and he just fucking whipped it as hard as he could right over at the sideline. And as soon as he threw that ball, when he lost his temper, that's where all the cheerleaders were. I was thinking, oh my God, he's going to beam one of those fucking girls in the head with that ball. And he threw that fucking thing as hard as he could. But luckily it sailed in between him and missed everybody. He ended up getting a flag thrown against him. But it's like, that's what would happen. He'd get into an argument with his girlfriend or his wife. He'd lose fucking control. I think one time he grabbed her, he got arrested, or the police showed up. I remember it was a big deal with the media. It's just like he didn't know how to express his emotions and to communicate in a healthy way because he just didn't learn those things. And if you're one of those people that has those problems, I think therapy and going to a counselor, somebody that can teach you a healthy way to communicate and express your emotions instead of just letting it come out as rage, is definitely helpful. So he says the panic attacks are rare now, but the borderline personality disorder and PTSD is ever present. Well, what's interesting about that? It's like if you've ever been in a heated discussion with somebody at your house and then the phone rings and you're like, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, how are you? I'm doing great. How are you doing? We're fine here. Everything's wonderful. Oh, it's great to hear from you. And it's like, so you can exercise self-control just like you can choose not to exercise self-control. It's a conscious choice. You got to think about what are the consequences if I choose to totally lose it versus if I take a step back, take a deep breath, and think about what I'm going to say. If you don't have something nice to say, maybe you should hold your breath. It's like what I learned in middle school. When you give hate back to somebody looks at you dirty, and you just smile like, hey man, what's up? How are you? As opposed to going, getting pissed off and look at them like, don't fucking look at me that way. You're gonna, even if you're a good fighter, at some point in your life, you're gonna come across somebody that is a better fighter than you, and they may, a lot of times those guys are little, they're smaller than you are, and they fucking whip your ass. You're like, it's probably not a good idea to go around looking to beat people's ass. I remember I had a buddy of mine that I went to high school with. He was a cool guy. He was a little bit shorter than me. He had like a big case of little man syndrome. He was fun to hang out with, joke around, laugh, but it's like he'd get a couple drinks in him, or somebody looked at him cross-eyed, or bump into him in a bar, and he'd be fucking throwing down, getting in a nasty fight. And I would always be like, man, I don't want to spill my beer. I want to have a good fucking time and laugh my ass off. He went up to Florida State, and he was like 2 or 3 years behind me. Graduated, goes up to Florida State. Somebody bumps into him. He gets into a fight. They're scrapping, hitting each other. They go outside, and dude just fucking hit him just right. Hit him in the chin. He was out like a light. And when he fell back, boom, he smacked his fucking head right in the pavement, and he never woke up. And, things like that, you go... And he was a good fighter, but at some point, you're going to run into somebody that's going to be able to whip your fucking ass. And so it's just not a good thing to go around looking for trouble because, eventually you're going to bite off more. You're going to write a check with your mouth that your body can't cash. He says, I have to take a number of medications that seem to help, including opiate painkillers, which of course have their own set of issues. Occasionally women approach me, but I just freeze up and I have no idea what to say. So I just walk away because it reminds me of high school when girls used to tease me by approaching me only to have their football player boyfriends beat me up when I talk to their girls. As a result, I have just started to avoid people completely. So you're obviously emotionally anchored, presupposing that something bad is going to happen if you talk to them, because in the past, something bad actually did happen. And what you need to do is you need to start working to rewire that. I did a video, I don't know, probably a year or two ago called How to Improve Your Social Skills or Improving Your Social Skills. So you can Google Corey Wayne, Improving Your Social Skills. That video will come up. If you go to the home page of my YouTube channel, that's one of the essential fundamentals that's listed. Watch that video. It's only like 10, 15 minutes long. And go to the mall and do exactly what it says. There's a step-by-step methodology. Walk around, make eye contact, smile at people. That's how you start out. When that gets easy and boring and you realize nobody's going to tear your head off or beat you up, then start saying, hey, how are you? How's your day going? What's up? How you guys doing? And get in the habit of doing that. And it's like you slowly work up until you get to the point where you're actually asking for phone numbers and making dates. And just like the experience that I shared when I was 20, 21, when I asked that girl out from Fridays at Hostess, even though she shot me down, I felt like $1,000,000. I was smiling when I went in there and did it because I was like on a high. I was excited because it wasn't about her. It was all about me. It was about the fact that I was about to overcome a serious fear that I had, and I already presupposed that no matter what happened, I was going to be excited because she might say yes, she might say no, she might have a shitty attitude. You know what? Who fucking cares? Sometimes maybe 1 out of 100 women that you approach are going to have a shitty fucking attitude. You know what? Ain't their fucking problem. At the end of the day, no one will ever do or say anything that isn't a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves in a moment. So if they start projecting their own self-hatred, self-loathing onto you, just say, you know what? I hope you have a better day, because obviously whatever's going on or has happened before I came up and started talking to you must have been pretty shitty, pretty rotten. I hope your day gets better. Have a good one. And then walk away and move on. They might come back and say, you know what, I'm sorry. I was being a fucking bitch to you. It's like, yeah, well, you know what? You need to buy me dinner right now. When are you free to get together? You could make it up to me by buying me dinner or buying me a drink. When are you free to get together? You know what? Let's go over here and grab a cup of coffee and sit down and have a chat. You seem like a nice girl. Obviously, if she's being a bitch, she's not really a nice girl. But hey, choose to see people in a certain way. It's like in middle school. The situation I was in, if I'd approached that situation with anger and hostility and fear and being pissed off, I'd have gotten my ass beat pretty much every day I went to school. But instead, I always had a smile on my face. Whenever somebody fucked with me, even if they had an angry look on my face, I assumed that they were just teasing me and cracking a joke, and I didn't take that shit personally. And you know what? After a while, when they saw that it didn't bother me, that their anger and their being pissed off didn't bother me, I wasn't diminished, they'd start smiling, they'd start laughing, they'd think, hey, you're okay, you're cool. They appreciated the fact that I didn't let anything get under my skin. And you can choose ahead of time that that's how you're going to show up in life. You can choose to decide no matter how people show up in your life, you're going to be happy no matter what. One of my spiritual teachers said, in my world, nothing ever goes wrong. It's all about perception, man. Perception is reality. So he says, I've only had one sexual encounter in over 20 years. It was a woman from Japan who got me kicked out of a hotel and almost deported since her coach and teammates found out about us. It's a crazy story if you want to hear it. Sounds like a good fucking story, but awesome. At least you got laid once. There's plenty of guys that are watching this that are going, I haven't had any pussy. I'm still a virgin. They're envious of you. So no matter how bad you got things or think you got things, there's always somebody else that has it worse than you. You're not over in Africa drinking out of a fucking muddy puddle that's full of cow piss and cow shit and bacteria and all kinds of Ebola and other kinds of shit. So no matter where, there's people that live on less than $2 a fucking day. That ain't you. So bottom line is, you are way better off than the majority, than 97% of the people in this world. Your standard of living is 97% better than most people in this world. Because the majority of the people in the world, they don't have access to the internet. There's 7 billion of us on the planet. There's, 2 billion on the internet now? 2.5 billion? The majority of the people in this world still are not on the internet. Still don't have an electronic device. They don't have running water. They don't have a refrigerator to have fresh food in. They don't know where they're going to get their fucking next meal. Think about that for a second. You ain't got no fucking reason to whine and feel sorry. You can choose to whine and feel sorry, or you can choose to do something about it right now. Take some action, dude. You got to participate in your own rescue. He says, I'm 45 years old, and I still look fairly young since I take care of my body, and I'm a good athlete, having won and placed high in marathons and road races around the world. Well, you are definitely way better off than 97% of the people on the planet. So quit your fucking bitching and get your ass to the mall, watch that video improving your social skills, and start applying it. And make a decision to go to the mall once a week just for 2 or 3 hours and do this. Just work on those simple things. And I promise you, in a few short weeks, you'll be feeling a hell of a lot better. You'll be asking women out on dates. You'll be getting phone numbers. You won't give a fuck if they're all rejecting you. So what? It ain't about them. It's all about you and how you feel about yourself. Because you got to get to a place where you love yourself and you're smiling a lot and you're happy no matter what you're doing or where you're at or what your situation is. And when you have that kind of attitude, it's just a matter of time and repetition before you come across a woman that goes, I'd like to get me some of that. He says, my question to you is this: how to break through this psychological barrier that I face. take some action. Right now, you're suffering from the paralysis of analysis, and you're making excuses. You're going, oh, I got bullied. Oh, people won't like me. Oh, girls won't like me. And therefore, you don't do anything. Well, bottom line is, if you ain't talking to women and you're not asking for phone numbers, you're not going to be getting any dates. If you're not getting any dates, you ain't going to be getting any pussy, dude. If you're not talking to other people, putting yourself in social situations, you're not going to make any new friends. Bottom line is, you got to get off your ass, take some action. You have everything that you need. It's like one of the things that when I was in Tony Robbins' world, when I was a platinum partner of his 10 years ago, I can't believe it was 10 years ago, it feels like it was yesterday, one of the affirmation beliefs that we used to say all the time was, all I need is within me now. The bottom line, if you're taking good care of yourself and you're going to the gym and you look young and you feel good and you're a great fucking athlete, all you really have to do is open that big fucking hole in your face and start talking and stop giving a flying fuck about what other people think about you, because at the end of the day, it don't matter. It sounds like you're in really good shape, so if somebody were to challenge you, it sounds like you'd probably beat their ass anyways, but don't go looking for fights. There's just absolutely no reason for that shit. The only reason you should ever fight is if it's an absolute last resort and somebody's just coming after you. But 99.9% of the time, you can smile and joke and talk your way out. If people looks at you across, hey man, let me buy you fucking beer. Hey man, let me pick up your dinner for you. I'll buy your dinner. It's like, I apologize for bumping. Let me buy you a beer, man. How's your day going? My name's Bob. Hey, nice to meet you, Bob. Whatever happens to be. Life is all about what you make of it. And right now, you've got some beliefs that are running around in your head, some limiting, fearful beliefs that are causing you to take zero action. Well, bodies in motion tend to stay in motion. Bodies at rest tend to stay at rest. Life happens when you move. Stagnation happens when you die. Get off your fucking ass. Take some action. That video that I've shared with you, improving your social skills, if you just follow that, your life will be night and day different a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. You have everything you need. Like I said, all you got to do is open that big hole in your face and start taking action. You work out, you're in great shape, you're a great athlete. You didn't walk into the gym and have one workout and then come out looking and being in the great shape that you are. It took time and repetition over many months and many years to get to that point. So what if it takes you a year to get really awesome? So what if it takes you 2 years? What if it takes you 3 years? Who fucking cares? All you need is one really fucking great girl. And therefore, every single person that you talk to is practice. They are there in your life to help you become better and to prepare you for that really kick-ass, super awesome woman that deep down you're really looking for and that you deserve. And if you do the work, eventually it's going to happen, and eventually your dreams will come true. If you like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the Products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.